Hi there. Welcome to MysteryStock. Here we are going to bring you the best mysteries every single day, so be sure to subscribe for more. First, we traveled back to 1943, where 4 teenage boys were hunting for bird nests in Hagley Woods near Birmingham in England. They discovered a human skull lodged within a wych elm tree. Police went to the scene and removed an entire skeleton from the tree, minus a hand. They determined the remains belonged to a young woman. Her head still had a clump of hair attached to it, and a scrap of cloth was stuffed in her mouth. Someone removed all of the labels from the woman's clothing, and the bones from her missing hand were scattered next to the wych elm. A pathologist concluded the woman was about 35 years old when she passed about 18 months prior to the boys' discovery. Some theorize the woman was sacrificed during an. Next, we visit Nuremberg in Germany. The year is 1828. It was a typical morning when Caspar Hauser wandered into the town square in Nuremberg. His boots were worn out at the soles, he barely spoke any language, and he had a note clutched in his hand. It was addressed to a cavalry captain and explained that an anonymous person previously raised Hauser like a son. After being taken into police custody, Hauser denied all food and drink except water and bread. He was also fascinated by the sight of a candle and his own reflection. Because of his lack of understanding, he was dubbed the Forest Boy. Eventually, Caspar was able to describe his upbringing as being in a prison and never saw the face of his captor. Why anyone would want to harm poor Hauser remains a mystery, as does his true identity. DNA tests done in 1998 ruled out previous theories that he was long. Now, stay tuned, as this next one is too popular to miss. In the late 1960s and early 1970s, a serial killer known as the Zodiac Killer terrorized Northern California. There were at least 5 victims, but later on, the murderer would claim he killed at least 37 people in total. On December 20, 1968, on Lake Herman Road in Vallejo, 17-year-old David Faraday and 16-year-old Betty Lou Jensen were shot and killed while sitting in a parked car in a parking area. By the time police arrived, Betty was dead, but David was still alive. Sadly, he died on the way to the hospital. This was the first murder that the Zodiac Killer conducted and got away with. The Zodiac's next crime happened on July 4, 1969, in Blue Rock Springs Park, only a few minutes away from the previous crime. The Zodiac Killer approached a parked car with a flashlight and then murdered 22-year-old Darlene Farron and 19-year-old Michael Mageau. Both were still alive when found, but only Mageau survived. He was able to describe the shooter as a young, white male, 26 to 30 years old, a stocky build, 200 pounds or larger, about 5'8" with light brown curly hair and a large face. Later, on August 1, 1969, the San Francisco Chronicle, the San Francisco Examiner, and the Vallejo Herald all received a handwritten letter by someone who claimed to be the shooter. The letters revealed specific details about the killings to prove that the writer was the murderer. All the letters were signed with a circle with a cross through it. Do you think he's still out there? I hope not. I bet you haven't heard of this last one. In early 1945, a Boston hospital received an unconscious patient suffering serious injuries, including infected shrapnel wounds. Someone wrote on a card, Charles A. Jameson, 49, religion Catholic, American, Cutty Sark. After extensive treatment, Jameson slowly improved to the point where he could speak. Unfortunately, he seemed to be suffering from amnesia, and what little information he could give couldn't be matched to any records. There was no U.S. enlisted man named Charles Jameson who was unaccounted for. The patient's fingerprints and photos were checked against military and criminal records, with no match. No ship named Cutty Sark was listed in the U.S. military, but it was learned that there was one used by the British Navy. The British Vice Consul sent his information to the Admiralty and the British Maritime Registry, who couldn't match it to any sailor. Despite record searches in both the US and the UK and widespread newspaper coverage, no one was ever able to figure out who Charles Jameson was. He spent. Thank you for watching. I will make you a new video every single day, so be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you never miss a post. Good night.